Welcome to the Eurostep Brit podcast.
Under 10 seconds. Game's going to be decided here. Harrell spots up. Doesn't go. Put back is good! Roberto Gallina with a second chance opportunity. Aris Lee. Per Gunther for three. Got it. Per Gunther, 3 punta. Cullen, pull up three, no good. Orcus, the offensive board. He turns around and shoots. Got it at the buzzer.
Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Eurostep Brit podcast. We'll call this one Back Where It All Began. Our guest is former GB international and now a head coach in the BCB, Joe Hart. Joe's journey took him from Essex around the world before coming back to Essex. In this episode, we look at the highs and lows of his playing days, discuss the places where basketball took him around the world, and the people that he met along the way. It's a long episode, so without further ado, let's get to it. Joe, welcome to the podcast. It's great to finally get you on. We've been sort of toying around trying to tee this up for a while. As I do with pretty much most guests I get on, let's take you back to the beginning. Now, unlike a lot of kids in the UK, you actually picked up a basketball quite early, didn't you?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. Sorry, the scheduling was a bit of an issue for a while, but I'm happy to be here. I started like super young, to be honest with you. Both my parents are teachers. My dad's a PE teacher, and my older sister played. I kind of followed her around, and my dad used to put on like early morning before school basketball shooting clubs. And I kind of got dragged to those and fell in love with the game really, really early. And like I said, I had an older sister who played, so sort of annoyingly followed her around, much to her protests, I'm sure. But yeah, from a young age, I want to say like by 5 or 6, I was playing quite regularly.
How did it go from there to play in organised basketball?
I always like to think that when you're a kid, you want to do stuff that you're good at, and I took quite naturally to basketball. So for me, it was like, oh, I really enjoy this. And then there was a local club round the corner from me, like the Southend Scorpions, that was like under 12 or something like that. So I went to that very early doors. And then I think, luckily for me, that my dad saw that I liked basketball so much, like it became part of our like PE curriculum at school, in primary school. So we were playing matches early in primary school. And my sister played for a girls' club at the time, the Southend Swifts, that were like a pretty good women's club, and did really well at like all the junior finals and everything like that. So just kind of tagged along to that with her. And then when I came of age, there was an under 14 team for me to play for, and then just kind of started going from there.
Did playing basketball get you into basketball, or were you influenced, say, by the NBA or the BBL at the time or anything?
I think it's probably a mixture of stuff. I think I was probably into basketball before I started finding basketball. I vaguely remember like on Channel 5 they used to do some like NBA evening shows, and then what was it like on Sky they started doing like I can't remember the name of the show, but it was an NBA show that was like a recap, came on like Thursday evening. So like when I was in secondary school, we'd always come home and watch that, and then my friends in my form in secondary school, we'd always just talk about NBA. And then like as the coverage got a little bit more, I have like vivid memories of Martin Luther King Day where they'd put like 5 games back to back to back. And the one that sticks out to me is Gilbert Arenas hits like a game-winning shot in like a meaningless game, but he turns around before the ball goes in, puts his arms up in the air. And it's kind of like seeing moments like that alongside the player, and that kind of fueled the love for it.
And you'll probably get some cheers or boos from listeners now. Did you adopt an NBA team?
I think I tended to go Chicago only because like I was searching for someone that was English, and Lawal was in the league at the time. It was like, there's an English guy, I'm going to support that. But I was also a massive LeBron fan, so anytime LeBron was on, it was like, I've got to watch him play.
So your sister went to play, so you say the Swifts, Southend Swifts.
Swifts,
Is that where you went to as well?
Yeah, so it was like initially just a girls' club, and they had like a men's local league team. And then the coach was kind of like saw that I was quite good, and a guy named Steve, like done so much for basketball in the area, and kind of like well, we're going to try and get like an under 14 team for you to play on. So while my sister was playing, like the under 14 started, so there was a team for me to play on, and I think there was an under 18 team at the time as well, which I was like allowed to play up for as like a 12-year-old playing under 18s. I use the term playing very loosely. I was sitting on the bench in a kit that was 4XL and like shorts down to my ankles. But I was just around so much basketball, so yeah, like that was the same club as well.
So you're playing with kids older than you?
Yeah,
Or
definitely. To start with, it was like I was like maybe 12 playing under 14s, and then again playing under 18s, but not really. And then throughout would play under 16s when I was 14, under 18s when I was 14, and kind of just always bumped up the age groups.
And I want to take you on from there because I know you went to. Well, it's quite a few people the listeners will know to. I know from there you eventually went on to Blair Academy in New
Yeah,
Jersey. Now you're playing in Southend, you're playing for local club. How do you get from there to Jersey?
yeah. Well, for all that time in my like youth career, like I was lucky enough to play for the national teams as well. So I was playing for the under 16s, played for the under 16 England team twice, and did pretty well there. And at this point, Barking was around, but there weren't really many other academies. Tim Lewis had just started an academy in Southend that was linked with the Essex Pirates. They had
Yep.
a flash pan season in the BBL.
Yeah.
Um, and my sister was 3 years older. She'd gone to America at 18. And I'd kind of like, I was looking around at the landscape every weekend, kind of dominated. We were only playing conference, but like I didn't know any different. And then I was doing really well in the national teams in the summer. So I kind of decided, like One Tree Hill was on in the background as well. So I was seeing this like fantasy of like what life in America could look like. And then yeah, like I asked my parents, I told my parents it was what I wanted to do. And they're like, all right, you've got to do a lot of research. So I ended up like every night I come home from school, sat on the computer looking up like boarding schools, this, that, anything basketball related. Sent out like 400 or 500 emails, had a bit of response. But then there's a guy called Darren Johnson who ran an academy at County Upper, but like he kind of had heard that I was looking to go to America, and so like, oh, I have some contacts out there. Kind of put me in touch with the coach at Blair. I sent some film out. And then yeah, that was it. They liked me, I liked them, and luckily jumped on a plane and went all the way out to Blair.
Did you do the like recruitment long distance, or did you get to go for a visit before you
No, no,
committed?
it was all email. I had to do what was it like the PSATs, which is like I had to pass an exam to be accepted into the school. Um, only saw what was on the website. I think might have had like one or two phone conversations. And then yeah, 16, like we played European Championships in Portugal. We finished third, beat Slovenia in the third place match, and then like 2 weeks later, I jumped on a flight by myself out to New Jersey at 16, and big smile on my face, like
Yeah.
pursuing the dream.
So what's that like? You're on the plane, you're on your own. It's probably the first time you've flown alone, or because obviously you would have flown
Um,
with teams or family before, or
I think I'd flown to a couple of things by myself
right,
before, like a couple of like showcase events.
right.
But other than that, it was. I don't think the size of it really like hits you, or especially when you're so young and naive. It's like, yeah, I'm going to America to play basketball. Like this is what I want to do. I think the moment that it struck me a little bit was like getting off the plane. You know, when you go to America, you have to fill out all the customs stuff and all the paperwork, and long queue. I got to the front and like I hadn't filled it out correctly, and they're like ushered me to the side to fill it out, and it's like I don't know what to do here. Like, am I supposed to go all the way to the back of the line? Am I supposed to cut in again? That was like the first time I felt probably a little bit alone. But other than that, it was just like, oh, I'm going to make the NBA. This is my first step in making the NBA. Is like just being in America.
So you had that obviously that nerves trying to get through immigration, but the obviously you would have had that pure excitement, wouldn't you? When you're like, if you're off the airport, you're going to this
Yeah,
academy.
well, I ended up like customs took like 2 3 hours to get through. So like by the time I got through, also I didn't have a phone, so it's not like I could call the coach and be like, oh, I'm like stuck in customs. So that was a little
Yeah,
nerve wracking. But didn't get back into Blair until like 1 or 2 in the morning. And
Oh,
yeah, got
you
there,
just
no
crash out, yeah.
laptop. Yeah, no, not even. I was like
No?
wired, like, oh, I just
Yeah.
want to wake up and work out and like get started. But yeah, definitely excitement.
So what's life like at Blair Academy for you?
Um, what's life like at Blair? It
Because
was
it's a
fun.
school and sport, isn't it, basically, to be
Yeah,
fair?
yeah. So it's like it's a school first and foremost. Like busy days, small classes. The way it worked there was like they don't in America they don't have PE class, or we didn't have PE class, so you had to get credits by doing sports. And like if you're a sophomore and a junior, you have to get X amount of credits, and if you're a senior, your credit requirement is lower. So like basketball counted as one of your sport credit, but you had to do other stuff as well. So like in the first semester, I was running cross country along like preseason basketball, and then in the winter was just basketball, and then in the summer was athletics. But it's like Monday, Tuesday is full day of class. Wednesday is half day because you have sports Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, Friday class, and then Saturday is half day again, where it's like you have classes in the morning and then sports in the afternoon. So pretty full on. But like nothing too crazy.
And did it take you long to settle into that sort of routine, or
I don't think so, not overly. Again, a little 15, 16 years ago now, maybe even a lot longer, 17, 18.
still a youngster?
Yeah, trying to be. No, I think maybe it was a little bit at first, but just the like it was the dream. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
the basketball, the facilities there were unbelievable. Like living a 2 minute walk away from the basketball court was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like never experienced anything like this.
What's the level of basketball like? Because academy sort of like a high school, that sort of age group, isn't it?
Yeah. So it
So
was
do they play? What rules they play to? Because I know some places
so
have shot clocks, some don't.
I was, I'm going to do my best not to swear. Absolutely insane. The level, it was definitely a bigger jump than I'd anticipated. Like
Hmm.
talk about being like a big fish in a little pond here in the UK, and then you go out there and it's like, wow, these guys are really, really good, even just like athletically. And well, I went out when I was 16, and I think the oldest guys were there were like 19 because you can have some postgrads
Hmm.
who were like 19, 20. So that was a big jump. Rules wise, absolutely ludicrous. We played 8 minute quarters with no shot clock.
8 minute
And like that,
quarters.
8 minute quarters. We played a 32-minute game with no shot clock. And like at the time, I remember thinking it was a little crazy. And the 3 point line was small then as well. Um, like we finished games, it'd be like 31, 37. And now, if I think about going back and trying to play like that, it'd be absolutely insane. Yeah, ridiculous rules.
Wow. Just trying to get my head around the note. Yeah, because I know there's some leagues where they don't have a shot clock. I just never understood it. Never understood it.
Yeah,
But
no, nor have I. And all the strategy behind. There was a team in our conference that if they got up 6 points, would run like 3 minute offenses, just dribble weave, dribble weave, dribble weave, dribble weave. It's like, what are we doing here? Like,
and of course, Joe, Blair Academy has had some quite a few well-known alumni over the years. Some that will be very well known to listeners of this podcast.
yeah, no, 100%. If we start with like the British people, Justin Robinson, Femi, no, sorry, Temi Fagbenley, Athena Thompson is there currently. Femi Hamilton was there. I know I'm missing others as well. And then if you look at like the more notable, high talented, made NBA people, yeah, Charlie Villanueva, Luol Deng, Royal Ivy. At the moment, the guard that just left there, graduate, is the number one point guard in the country, a guy called Deron Ripley Jr. He's going to Duke next season. Um, there's such a plethora of guys who have gone there and done really well. My roommate, a guy called Mike Toby, when I was there, went to Virginia for 4 years. He had like a 10-day contract in for the Hornets. He
He had a
won
good
a
career in
Euro
Europe as well, hasn't he? So
won a Euro Cup with Valencia.
yeah.
Played for Barcelona for Zvezda. Played in the Olympics for Slovenia. So has like a really illustrious career as well. So like the list of high talented people who are very, very good at basketball is kind of very long and ever growing now. And it's all under the same coach, Joe Mantagna, who's an unbelievable human being and a really good basketball coach. And he has such a great. I think Lawal is the godparent to his youngest son. And like he's done so much work over here. He comes over, used to come over all the time for Den Camp. Um, yeah, now is like one of the assistant coaches for the Senegalese team, with Steve Veer. So yeah, really good program.
Good, good stellar list of current and former players there. So take you on. What are you thinking at the end? So you would have been about what, 19 when you left Blair Academy, is that right?
Yeah, it was 19. It was 19.
Now, a lot of players go on to play US colleges or come back towards Europe, but you, sir, went to Canada, did you not?
I did, but so I actually committed to a Division 2 school in Texas, in Austin, called St. Ed's. I went out on a visit there. It's like, yeah, sweet, I'm gonna go here. But it was at the time where like the NCAA clearing was problematic for a lot of people. And because I graduated, like I finished year 11, then went out to America and effectively redid year 11. I was a sophomore, junior, and senior. My eligibility clock started earlier, so I would have had to sit out for a year if I'd have gone to the NCAA. And that was not something that I was interested in doing. And then bear in mind, like the summer, or not even the summer before, like the last summer I graduated, then played for the under 20s, for a Canadian coach, Dave Smart, who's arguably one of the best coaches ever to coach basketball, with what he's done for Carlton up in Canada. But I digress there. I'd committed to go to school in Austin, and then my coach was like, "I've got a friend who actually coaches in Canada, who's really quite interested in you. And in Canada, it's FIBA Europe rules. It's 40-minute games. It's 10-minute quarters. It's everything is FIBA Europe." And always in the back of my mind, I was like, "Well, I'm going to go home and play professionally anyway in Europe." I went out for a visit in Canada, worked out with the guys, had a really, really good time, got on with the coach really well, and didn't want to sit out for a year. So if I'd gone to St. Ed's in Austin, I would have had to sit out for a year and only had 3 years of eligibility. Whereas in Canada, I wouldn't have to sit out for a year and I had 5 years of eligibility. So it was like, it almost seems like a no-brainer to me. So yeah, I reneged my decision to go to school in Texas and sign up to go to Lakehead University. And yeah, I was there for a year and a couple of months, and then that was
Yeah. I looked it up because it was Lakehead University in Thunder Bay in Ontario.
it.
So
It is now.
I looked on the map before I was doing research, thinking, right, maybe it's somewhere near Toronto, what have you. No,
No, no,
it's
no.
not. It's nowhere. It's nearer to
It's not.
Winnipeg in Manitoba
Yeah,
than it is Toronto. What was
it's
life
not.
like in the middle of Ontario? As Canada, you're going to get that weather there.
It's not. Thunder Bay is not near anywhere. Let me tell you that much. There's not a whole lot going on there. It was very, very, very cold. Like very cold that I wasn't ready for. Um, yeah, again, it was almost like if I had the perspective that I had now when I was like 19, I probably would have experienced a little bit more of it and enjoyed it a little bit more. But I was so kind of dead set on pursuing basketball that you kind of block everything out and you don't really appreciate all the stuff that you have around you, which I think is like pretty normal in life, right? You get a little bit wiser the older you get. Um, but yeah, like outside of the basketball, it was a beautiful place. But for me, it epitomized. I came back, or no, before I'd left, I was going home and it was May and it was still snowing. I said, "Do I want to be in a place where it's May and it's snowing?" So that was
Is this sort of thing where, like, when you're on campus and you're going from, I don't know, your dormitory or wherever you stay in to the gym, you're walking through snow to get there, or?
oh yeah, yeah. And so the funny thing is, especially because we got so much snow all the time, like here in England, you get half an inch of snow that school's cancelled. We had like snow plows on campus, making sure that nothing was shut because it's such a part of normal life. You get snowstorms, and it's like, yeah, we still have class. And yeah, my because I was a first year, I have to live on campus, and I would say my walk to the gym was like a 15-minute walk, and we used to practice early in the mornings too, like 6 a.m. So it was definitely a matter of you're putting tights on, sweats, jeans over the top of that, then another pair of sweats. You'd go outside and your nostril, like you'd take a deep breath in and your nostrils would start to freeze, your eyelashes would freeze, your beard would start to have like these little icicles on the end. So it was definitely an experience.
So you take ages to prepare, then you got that walk, which I suppose in snow, even with snow powers, that's going to take longer. And then obviously you get there and you're probably taking about another 10 minutes just to get ready.
Well, this is the thing where, like, when we practiced early in the mornings, the center wasn't open, so our coach used to open up the gym, and he would then open the fire escape so we could walk in the fire escape as opposed to like the top part of the morning. So you wouldn't take anything off the practice because it was so cold. You had cold air blowing through the gym until like 6:37 in the morning. It definitely, yeah, it was an experience.
Gets you running around though, doesn't it?
But yeah, it does. It does. It's a lot of character building.
So because I don't really know much about Canadian college basketball. What was the sort of standard like in your year there?
Yeah, it was good. We had our team. I was the only incoming freshman on our team, and we had 6 5-year seniors. And our head coach, a guy called Scott Morrison, who like later went on to get G League Coach of the Year. He was with Boston for a while, and he's been on the Utah bench for like the last 6 7 years. So he was a really good coach. We had a really good team. I would say top end, the basketball was really good. Lower end, it wasn't great, wasn't awful. But like, yeah, you're looking at like that year we made it all the way to the U Sports finals, and we lost to Carlton. And I think that summer Carlton beat a couple of D1 schools quite handily in the summer. So like Carlton were very, very good. I think we were a decent team as well. So,
and obviously, given the size of Canada, were you playing like within like this within Ontario or outside Ontario? Well, how far would you play? I mean, could you obviously even another team would say Toronto? That would be quite a long bus ride or even a plane ride away, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So we played in the OUA, and I think that was one of the conferences. I can't remember what the other conference is called, but you'd play double headers. You'd play Friday, Saturday. And for us, whenever we went anywhere, we'd always have to fly to Toronto first. So there was a couple of schools in Toronto, I believe, or thereabouts. We'd fly to Toronto, play someone on the Friday, play someone else on the Saturday. But there's other times where we'd fly to Toronto, then fly out, and we'd play like a team Friday night, Saturday night, the same way that when teams came to us, we would play them Friday, Saturday. So you ended up playing everyone 4 times, I think. Again, I'm a little hazy on that. I might be wrong, but we definitely always like flew to Canada and then out of Canada. It was this airline called Porter Airlines, tiny little planes.
Let's take you on from there then. Yeah, after that year, I got to talk about. I think it was that after that first year, a memorable run with the GB under-20 team.
Yeah,
that was that summer.
So that was my second year with the under-20s.
You captain
the first year. I was. Like the first year for the under-20s, Dave Smart, the Carlton head coach, coached us, and it was a basketball, a summer full of lots of learning. And we had a chance to get promotion. We lost to Finland in the quarterfinals, and that was a year where it was like 4 teams got promoted. And we lost to Finland. We should have won that game. So that was always in the back of our mind. And then that following summer was like the last time for the 93 generation to kind of play together. And I'd kind of like earmarked it for me as like, oh, this is going to be the last time I get to play for GB. And there was maybe 4 or 5 of us that had kind of played together in like our first under-16, Devon, myself, John Stewart. I think Raf Thomas Edwards was involved for quite a while as well. So there was like a bunch of us that had been around together. And yeah, Doug Leichner was the coach. James Veal was an assistant. And look, it's easy when you have one of the best players in Europe at the time on your team playing very, very, very well. And like Devin Van Oostrum had an unbelievable summer. Like an unbelievable summer. Like was far and away the best, if not 1A, 1B player that we came up against. But yeah, I think we only lost 1 game that summer. We actually lost 2 games, but we only lost 1 like regular game. I think we went 19-1. We beat Poland in the group stage and lost them in the final. And on that team, they had Panicka, They had the massive like 7-2 guy that was on Gonzaga. But like the real story there is James. I forgot about it, but James Veer reminded me of it. Is we flew out to Portugal, and again we hadn't lost a game all prep. We're thinking, oh, we're Billy, no, we're top dogs here. Like no one can beat us. We got there and played Portugal in a friendly game and got absolutely smacked. And we'd beaten Portugal by like 25 points in the preseason, and it kind of settled everyone's nerves a little bit, brought us back down to reality. And then yeah, went on and had an unbelievable summer. But if you look at that group and look at the guys that are on that group, the ones that have gone on to play professionally, like on that group, me, Devon, Raf Thomas Edwards, Roel Graham Bell, Jordan Spencer, Nick Lewis. Trying to think of other guys that ended up like Lewis Champion was on that team as well. Zach Wells, who had a stint in the BBL. Jesse Chuku, who had Jesse didn't play that year, he played the year after. But like already, that's 8 guys that had pretty long careers playing basketball. So I think it was a fun summer for sure.
I mean, you had that disappointment, obviously losing the final, but you signed off on GB under-20s, helping GB get into Division A.
Well, look, I think that was always the goal. Every year we came together as a national team because we always were in the B division, my group, and like that '93 team, we won bronze at under 16, but when it was only top 2 teams got promotion, so we felt like we kind of got robbed a little bit. And then the year prior with under 20s, we came so close. And the goal was always like, the goal wasn't like, let's win. The goal was like, let's get promotion. So when we beat Hungary in the semi final, it was like, oh, wow, like job done, like 100%. Felt so good. Always frustrating a little bit that you don't then get to go and compete in the A division yourself, but like that's the way it is. But yeah, like that had been the goal for the past 6 years, was to get promotion.
But it's one of the great GB under-20 teams. It's one.
No, 100%.
So you spent the summer with GB. Now, had you planned to go back to Canada at that point, or were you making a decision, you know what, it's time to turn professional? Because that's the year you did turn professional, isn't it?
It was. I think I had a really good summer with GB. I shot 52% from 3, shooting like 6 threes a game for the whole tournament. So it's a pretty high clip. We'd just come off in Canada, like we'd lost in the national championship game. Everyone's graduating. I was looking around at the landscape and thinking, might be a little bit different next year. And then I had a little bit of interest from some teams and some agents. So like I did go back to Canada. I flew back for preseason, and I was there for like 2-3 weeks and kind of talking with some teams and some agents, and then kind of like weighing up what should I do. I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he was just like it's the dream, right? Like what's the harm? Like this is what you've been working towards. Like sometimes opportunities don't always come around. And I kind of jumped at the opportunity to go to Spain. It's funny, like I remember walking in and speaking with the coach, and he was very much like, I don't think this is a good idea, which is 100% like he's right to have that opinion. But he ended up taking a sabbatical like maybe a month later to go and be an assistant from the main Red Claws. So it was like, I left, I felt a little bit bad, and then he ended up substantially leaving, like, I want to say, 3 weeks later. So it was like I didn't feel as bad, and it wasn't the same thing that I'd come into when I'd left.
And from there, you end up in Spain.
I do.
Now, how did that opportunity come back? Because if I'm correct, you would have played in the 4th tier of Spanish basketball, which I didn't realise existed, if you know what I mean. Because everyone knows about the 3 levels, but you went to the 4th tier. How did that come about to go to, was it Benidorm?
Yeah, it was quite an experience. I started speaking with the team like post the Europeans, which had some good conversation. And really trusted like the general manager there, who kind of had a vision and was kind of thought I could do quite well and progress pretty quickly. Got there. It was definitely a rude awakening, just in terms of like what you expect. And I think a lot of people experience this. I think a lot of Americans experience this. You come from college, which is very, very professional, to then you go to your first experience and it's like nowhere near as professional as you think it should be. Um, but I met some really good people there. Like I picked up Spanish pretty quickly when I was out there, and kind of just gave me that taste for like, oh, if this is what you want to do, which it was, like this is what it's kind of going to take to have to scrap and fight your way to get out of those places.
And what was the level like at Benidorm?
I would say like the caliber of basketball being played was very high level. The people like the talent of the league was not super high level. So you watched it, it was like, oh, the basketball is really good. The people performing the basketball aren't necessarily the greatest. I don't know if that makes tons of sense. Like
Yeah.
the ceiling for those people was that league, and more you had a bunch of guys who are towards the end of their or played Leb Gold, Leb Silver, and were like, yeah, I'll carry on playing basketball a little bit. So like the level was really high in terms of that. But yeah, the talent wasn't super crazy.
So can't talk about somewhere like Benidorm without asking you what it's like living there. Obviously, because a lot of British expats tend to go there. What was it like for yourself that season in Benidorm?
The weather was lovely. Like I can see the appeal of it. I lived in Old Town, which was like away from the strip and everything. So it was just like a lot of old Spanish people. Nice little apartment, 10-minute walk from the beach. Again, like my purpose for being there was like basketball related. So I don't think I every once in a while, like as a team, we dipped our toes in those waters, but was kind of on this like focused journey, like just trying to go to the court, come home, maybe go and get in the water if it was a little cold. But other than that, nothing too crazy.
Yeah,
So
but you're
no
not running
tons.
around a frozen gym, though, are you?
No, yeah, exactly. That was the nicest thing. That mid-November, like my parents came out to visit, and like mid-November, we're walking around in shorts and t-shirts, and everyone else is in jeans and jackets because I think it's cold. So it was definitely a nice change of pace.
That's the Brits abroad mentality. That's what I like.
Exactly, exactly.
And I haven't got any records. How did your team do on the floor that season?
The fact that I can't overly remember doesn't bode very well for the team. I don't think. I think we were probably like top three, top four in our league.
Mhm.
So not awful, not great. Um, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, nothing happened then if you can't remember that well.
Exactly, exactly.
Um, and did that inspire you to stay on in Spain, or it just happened that the following season you would be back with another Spanish team?
Well, I again, the people that were at the club were really good people, and they kind of had some contacts, so they put me or recommended me to a Leb Gold team. So that's where I ended up the next year. I went to Huesca in Leb Gold, which was like talk about similar to the awakening from England to Blair, like going from Ebba to Leb Gold was definitely like, oh yeah, this is serious now. I went to Huesca on a 1 month like training camp deal,
Mhm.
um, and then yeah, they liked what they saw. Like the communication with them wasn't great. Like I had kind of packed my bags thinking, oh, I'm going home, like just being the anxious overthinker that I am. But yeah, they were really happy with me, and I played in Huesca for 4 months, 5 months before I had a Jones fracture in my foot. Like we practiced so much, we were talking 2 a days all season. We had
Mm.
a really good coach who is notorious for developing young talents. We were a really young team, a guy called Kim Costa. But yeah, I had a stress fracture or a Jones fracture in my foot, which is like a fracture that's jagged. So I had a screw put in my foot um, out in Spain, and then yeah, the rehab process wasn't handled by them great. Um, so yeah, subsequently ended up only doing half the season out there, and then yeah, coming home because I had the broken foot.
Just for the listener, going from Benidorm to Huesca, is that pronounced correctly?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
you've
West Ham.
jumped two leagues, haven't you?
Yeah,
So definitely, definitely step up. And
yeah, and I mean, sorry, go on.
no, go on. I was just thinking, obviously, I've done guests in the past when they've played at these sort of gold, silver levels in Spain or in, say, Pro B in France. They've always said, even at a lower level, it was still better than what was available in the BBL at the time. I know you'd go into play in the BBL later on, but would you say the
It's
standards were
it's
very high?
I think across the board, yes. And again, I alluded to it earlier. The style of basketball was unbelievable, and like the basketball that was being played was really, really good. It's hard for me to compare at the time because I didn't have that much awareness as to what was going on in the BBL
Hmm.
at that time, like comparably. Um, but for example, like on my team, one of my teammates, a guy called Dario Brizuela, who's been on Barcelona's EuroLeague team for the last 4 years. So like he was young, he was 18, 19 at the time, but has gone on to have a very illustrious career and play for the Spanish national team in Olympics and stuff like that. So I struggle to see anyone in the BBL having that trajectory, or had that trajectory post their career in the BBL. Yeah, I definitely think the standard was probably higher across the board. I think the setups were probably a lot more professional across the board. Again, hard to speak on it. I don't have the experience of it in the
Yeah.
league at that time. But yeah, definitely very, very high level.
And you got the injury. Was there when you had the operation? Was there a chance for you to come back that season, or was
Yeah,
that
so we
season
started
ended?
like so effectively um I had surgery and they were thinking it was only going to be a 6 week injury. I was had a screw put in, had a cast put on, started was there for the month and a half, started like the rehab with the physios, and very quickly they were asking me to do stuff that I was like, there's no way, my foot's not right. Like I want to get another X-ray to make sure that the bone is healed. And they're like, no,
Mm.
no, no, you'll be fine. You don't need an X-ray. You won't see it. And so like start to be weight bearing and do all the stuff the physio was saying, and it wasn't getting better. It was only getting worse. Which was signs for worry. And then ended up getting it X-rayed again. I think I came back to England to get it X-rayed, and the crack was now bigger than it was before. Um,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
yeah, so I saw a specialist back in the UK, and he was saying like, yeah, the size of the screw that they put in the foot isn't big enough. It needed to be a bigger screw to hold it together.
Right.
So that was like panic, all going crazy in my head, like, oh god, I'm gonna have to have another surgery. But the surgeon was like, "Oh no, you should wait like another 6 weeks to see if it starts to heal because it might start to heal and just take longer." And I was thinking, well, why would I wait another 6 weeks? Like, I want this to be right. Like, just do the surgery now, and it eliminates that 6 weeks. But we didn't. We waited 6 weeks, and it had begun to heal. And then at that point, I was nowhere going to be ready to come back and play. So mutually agreed to part ways with the team. Because there was, yeah, I didn't want to be out in Spain, kind of just doing my rehab with the team for no reason. So I thought, oh, let me just come home and I bang it out here. So yeah,
And then,
that was the end of Huesca.
but that summer afterwards, you got a chance to play for the senior GB team under
Was it that summer?
Joe Prunty.
Yeah,
Oh no,
yeah, yeah.
sorry,
No,
sorry. Yeah, it was that summer. It was that summer. Yeah, 2015.
that
GB
was
New
that
Zealand
was
Copper
yeah.
Box.
It all like that time kind of blends into one.
Mm.
I always thought it was the year after. Yeah, I vividly remember my parents were away on holiday, and I was at the house, and I was sitting like I got a call from Prunty, and I was like sitting on the floor in the kitchen, and he asked me to come to training camp, and it was like it had been a dream of mine. Like it was on my little like notebook where I wrote what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve, and it was kind of out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it because I had anticipated that the last time I was going to get to play for GB was that under 20 summer, and I'd kind of come to terms with that. It was 2 years on past there, thinking, and I was also injured, so I was probably in a pit of depression, thinking, what's going on with my life? And I remember the call and just thinking, oh man, this is unbelievable. Like the stars aligned. There was no Eurobasket, and they were taking a different approach, trying to bring in some fresh talent,
Mm.
or some younger guys to get into the program. But yeah, it was unreal time.
And what was it like coming into that set GB senior setup? Because obviously there was still a few guys left from the old GB guard. Like as you said, they were
Yep,
bringing in younger faces. What was that
yep.
experience like for you?
Oh,
I
unbelievable. I
think
mean,
the New Zealand game. Sorry, that was where was it? Drew Sullivan got his 100th cap or something.
he did. I think tons and tons and tons of imposter syndrome, 100%. Like before going there, but really cool experience because there was a lot of guys that I'd known or known of or played around. And then yeah, just a chance to compete with guys at a really high level. It was nice that we had a 2 week kind of training camp. Again, didn't think I was making the team. Zach Wells was my roommate, and I remember we were staying um, near the O2, and they were calling up to the rooms to have guys come down for meetings, and like they call you up, you'd walk downstairs, and I was expecting a yeah, like thanks for coming. You're not going to make the last 12. And they're like, no, they're really happy with me. Made that New Zealand game, and then after that, we also went to where did we go? We went to Amsterdam for a tournament. We played Portugal. Yeah, we played Portugal. We played Hungary, which was really cool. We played Netherlands as well, which was like a really cool packed arena. So yeah, no, really cool experience.
And he got rid of the imposter syndrome.
I did a little bit. I did a little bit that summer, but then when I got called back the next summer, it was ripe, absolutely ripe. And yeah, I didn't. The following summer, like my first time, I thought I played well. My following summer, like I was awful. Played really bad, like mentally, like crumbled with a little bit of adversity. Like yeah, that was the second stint was a tough stint, but still like super cool to have on the resume, and got to travel around and be a part of it.
We'll go back to the club timeline in a minute then. So what was your experiences like playing for the GB senior team?
Whirlwind, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah,
just the New Zealand game was super cool, friends and family, like, and even like being back in the UK now and like having people like have gone to that game. Like now, some of the guys I coach as well were like, we were at that game. Like one of my best friend was at that game, and like we didn't really know each other at the time, and like that's so cool to be able to say that. Highlights probably that New Zealand game, the family watching, getting the jersey.
I mean, it's a big defeat for GB, but it was a great experience of going. I was working for GB at that Copper Box game. I was doing the media. I won't mention his name, but one of your teammates, I had to spend about 15 minutes trying to find him just to do the post-game press conference because his name had been put up and I had to go and find him. But I won't say who it is for the record. Maybe I'll get him on one day and I'll ask him about it. But it was a great experience. You got obviously the hacker from New Zealand pre-game.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
All that. So
that was cool.
Any standouts after that, tournament-wise or qualification-wise, that really sort of moments that started to stand out?
I think, yeah, there were some gutting moments in it. Like that second year, I was definitely I think we had a 15 or 16 man squad that like traveled, and I was definitely like 15, 16, 14, 15, 16 at the end of that. So like going to some places, not getting to play or not getting to be on rosters was a bit tough. I mean, it was the right decision by them, 1,000%. But yeah, that was always a tough pill to swallow, and like wanting to play, but also not believing in yourself or your ability to play at the time was like just a weird place to be in, and then trying to have to like project confidence when you're like the furthest thing away from confident in your own ability is definitely an interesting dynamic to play with. But then like that summer I also got to meet Ben Gordon and hang out with Ben Gordon and play with Ben Gordon. So that was like, I watched this guy play for Chicago when I was talking about when I was like 16, coming back and watching NBA action. That's what it was called, NBA action.
Yeah.
Ben Gordon was on there winning Sixth Man of the Year, so that was another cool moment.
Please tell me you didn't fanboy.
No.
You weren't asking loads of questions. No.
There's only one moment in my life where I've been like super starstruck, and it was when I was in Newcastle. We had to do like an awards dinner, and Johnny Wilkinson was sitting like on the table over from me, and I can remember waking up at like 7 a.m. with my dad and watching England Australia, and him hitting that drop goal, and I saw him, and I was like, lost for words.
We'll dive back into the club timeline again. So you go back to Spain again. I'm probably going to butcher this one. Araberry,
yeah. Yeah.
That's in the third tier of Spanish basketball. But
yeah,
is it true they had a really bad year the season before you joined? I think they just avoided relegation. Is that correct or something?
Potentially, I can't remember. Yeah. So we were based in Vitoria and like had loose ties with Baskonia. So like a bunch of their younger guys kind of were like in and around our club as well. And we had maybe 3 or 4 that were like young guys signed for them but came and played with us. Up and down year. Ended up finishing really well. We ended up winning the playoffs and moving up to Leb Gold, which was definitely a lot of fun. Good group. One of the guys I played with now, and in that team, one of the Americans is an assistant for the Lakers now. Yeah, no, it was a fun year, and for me personally, like one of our Americans ended up leaving with like 2 months left, so it kind of gave me some more opportunity, and I ended up playing really well down the stretch and having some big runs in the playoff games, and that was the first time I got to play in a playoff series. And yeah, it was a 3 game series, 3 game series, 5 game series. And I think we won 2-1, 2-1, 3-0, which was like, again, growing up, you see NBA playoff series and you never get to play in them. Um, the whole year, we didn't really have like much fan base, but then in those home playoff games, our like 2,000 seat arena was packed and they had marching bands. And thinking back to the celebration of winning 3-0 and like winning on the road, smoking cigars, popping champagne, like, yeah, really, really fun time.
Just curious, while you were there, obviously in was it you near Vitoria Gasteiz or something like that? Or
Yeah, 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 yeah,
did you ever get a chance to go and see Baskonia or in the Spanish league or your
yeah,
league at all?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I was really lucky that like one of the guys I got on quite well with was one of the youth players for them. So they had like season tickets. So I went to see a bunch of games, and that was the year that Baskonia team was unbelievable. They made the final four. They had Davis Bertans, they had Mike James, they had another guy, Darius Adams. They had Adam Hanga, Giannis Barusic, the big Greek guy. Oh, their team was unbelievable, like unbelievable. Really fun, yeah, yeah. Good times to watch. Jaka Blazic, my favorite player as well. Really cool.
I love commentating on that guy 'cause he's still playing.
He's so
Just
good.
he is. He's getting on in years, but
Yeah,
he'll have this game and he'll come up with just this great moment towards the end of it. It's just always seems to turn the clock back.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you spent 3 years in Spain.
Mhm.
What was your plans at that stage? Because we obviously go, I've spoiled it because everyone knows what happened next. You came to England to play for Newcastle, but what was
Yeah.
your plans at the end of that season? You'd help your team win the playoffs. They were going up a division. What were you going to do next?
Good question. I think I probably would have actually no. The club had annoyed me a little bit. I vaguely remember, and I kind of anticipated not returning there anyway. I don't know. I think I was just trying to look for maybe another. I think the goal was always to try and get back to Leb Gold, but that those opportunities weren't kind of presenting themselves. I ended up signing with Newcastle quite late. I think like mid September was when I ended up signing with Newcastle. So it was. I think the thought process was to stay in Spain, but the offers that I was looking for weren't coming in. And then yeah, Dave Forrester reached out to my agent at the time, and yeah, they wanted me to come in and kind of went there, hit the ground running, and ended up at Newcastle for the season.
And this is your first time playing in the BBL. What was
Yeah,
it like for you? Because you're a decent Eagles team. You know,
yeah.
what was that experience like for you coming up to Newcastle?
I think it's funny, like when you're younger and you hear the BBL, you always like kind of turn your nose up to it. And I'm sure that's probably maybe that's changing now for youth guys, but it was always like a dark cloud over it, and it kind of poo-pooed as this like pathetic league. So it was definitely like I was shocked at how good it was and how good the talent was. Um, yeah, it was really cool. It was nice to be back in England. Like I think you always want to play more than you are, and kind of always expect to play a little bit more than you do. But yeah, the talent level like surprised me, and like it was definitely an adjustment going from playing in Spain and playing Spanish basketball to coming and playing BBL basketball. Just like stylistically, it was definitely a little difficult to adjust to.
And what was your role on that team?
I want to say I was maybe like I came in and at 17 to like 20, 25 minutes a game, kind of come off the bench, stretch the floor a little bit. Uh, yeah, kind of just be a fourth, fifth option out there. Like some of the America, we had Ramon Fletcher, who's unbelievable. Drew Lasker, we had rookie DeAndre Parks at the time, Scott Martin, Darius Defoe, like the Newcastle teams that are like stacked with talent. So yeah, just kind of fit in where I could really.
And I will digress for a minute. Obviously, you're still in your early 30s.
Yeah.
Does it amaze you that Darius Defoe is still playing today?
Yes and no. Like it is an unbelievable feat, but he's very good at basketball and like very good at doing what he does. So that doesn't surprise me, his ability to compete at that level at all. But yeah, from a physical standpoint, it is unbelievable, almost impossible. But then you look at who he'd been under, and he's been around Fab. And like, not that they are similar in lifestyle choices or anything like that, but like you see someone doing it in front of you doing the same thing. Like, of course, that's your norm, the normal for you, right?
So the following season, you stay in the BBL, but you've gone to the Glasgow Rocks, but you didn't stay there too long. Is that right?
No, no, no. Who was the coach? Tony Garboletta was the coach. Again, like in hindsight, I would have loved to have tried to stay at Eagles for a little bit longer. I think later on in my career, when I stayed at a place for multiple years, it was a lot more enjoyable and a lot better. That didn't happen. Again, was kind of searching in the summer. Was I going to go back to Spain? Was I going to go stay in the BBL? I ended up letting go of my agent at the time. I felt like there wasn't much communication. I didn't think he was helping me very much, wrongly or rightfully. Then yeah, Kieran and Shara hit me up because I played with him with GB in the summers. They were looking for a British guy. Yeah, signed in Caledonia or Glasgow, excuse me. And like, I don't know if people know this about BBL contracts, but it's like until you play 6 games or 2 months, they're not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And so I was there again. Did okay. Didn't play great. Didn't play awful. We lost a bunch of games early, and then I think or Kofi Josephs became available. I think the club was trying to sign him before, but he ended up in Sweden, and then something fell through there. So Kofi kind of came into the picture a little bit around practice. And then, yeah, like I had a couple of DMPs, the first in my career, and I was like, I'm close to 6 games, a couple of DMPs here. There's another British guy here. Maybe the writing's on the wall. Don't know what's going on. And yeah, I got called into the office for the meeting, and yeah, got let go for the first time in my career, which you never want to happen, right? I think is a tough pill to swallow, like from the standpoint of your ego. But yeah, from there, got cut. Again, wasn't in the greatest of places getting cut. It's your job. It's not nice to hear. Ended up coming home for like a month and a half or so. I ended up like messing up my ankle pretty badly, which was fueled the fire of joy that was in my life at the time. And then yeah, I ended up getting an opportunity to go out to Germany. In the fourth league to a team that had like big aspirations of climbing the ranks in Germany to get to Pro A, which they have since achieved and now are a Pro A team, which is cool to see for the club. But yeah, that was a dark time. I came very close to quitting, like my first like 2 months there. Came home for Christmas, kind of looked myself in the mirror a little bit and said like, stop being a baby. Like, this is what you've decided. Get your act together. Came back after Christmas and then had like a really good end to the season for that year. I think I ended up shooting like 55% from three on like high volume, kind of for the second half of the season. I think I averaged like 20, 25, 26 points a game, which nullified my abysmal start to my time with that team as well. So kind of found a bit of love and joy that second half of the season, met some really good people. The city of Koblenz is really, really cool. So like, as I didn't do in other places, I kind of enjoyed and explored the city a little bit, which I think definitely was a much needed part of life.
So would you say then this spell at Koblenz was sort of like a defining moment of your career? Because you've had that shock, that disappointment of being cut by the Rocks. You've gone to Germany and you sort of found yourself again. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think so. I met like a really good guy out there as well, this guy called Stefan, and like hit off really well with him. So it was nice to have someone that you could kind of hang out with and just like play PlayStation with, like go get reps up with, which was cool, which I don't necessarily think I'd had like a close friend on other teams before. But yeah, just kind of reframed the like, just because you've been doing something doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way, and kind of had to reset and like, all right, I need to get back in the gym. I need to get back in the weight room, and like almost have this carefree attitude to stop putting so much pressure on yourself to perform. And yes, I would definitely say it was a defining moment in the career.
And you go on to spend a few years in Germany. Did that just happen, or did the fact that you had that good experience with Koblenz lead on to Essen?
I think it happened because of the success that I had there. Obviously, like shooting the ball at that high of a clip, then jumped to Essen in the Pro B, which was an experience in itself. I don't necessarily think that the timing. It wasn't like I decided, I've loved Germany so much, I'm going to stay here. It was kind of the opportunities presented themselves that way. Moved to Pro B in Essen. Again, had a good time there. It was a young coach, like a first year coach, who I got on well with. The club was a little bit, yeah, in some bad circumstances, and like the way they constructed the team, uh, overpaid like two really good Americans, but like two older Americans who were coming to the end of their career, which I think hurt the team a little bit. In Patrick Flomo, who's unbelievable guy and like a crazy career in Germany, but I don't think he was the player to like, you need to save a season for us. But like, unbelievable guy, really good guy. And then AJ, who is again a little bit older, but a very good American also. And then yeah, that club folded, went through insolvency, which was quite an experience in itself.
I followed German basketball for years, and it does happen. Unfortunately, clubs do
Yeah,
go into liquidation. It's just it's one of those things. But so let's move on from Essen. The Chelsea team's gone.
yeah,
Right. Okay. Here we go. Volmestedt.
yeah.
Is that?
Well, I actually like post Essen, and
Yeah.
like the team folded. They stopped paying us in November, but we were there until the end of the season, so it's crazy. But like, yeah, I ended up going and playing in Serie C in Italy for like 2.5 months. Like, got some agent hit me up and was like, "Do you want this job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't been paid in this long. Let me go and just like have fun at a low level." I went to this place called Chieti, and played there for like 2.5 months to finish the season. And then, yeah, from there, the following season went and played in Volmstedt.
Because the levels you've played at, Joe, it was so hard to research. I hadn't got that on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
Someone had
yeah.
mentioned
No,
you played in
no.
Italy once. I thought, I can't remember seeing anything playing in Italy. Well, there you go. So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was, but so you played in Italy, but
yeah.
how's the pronunciation? Volmestedt, is that
Yeah, yeah,
sort of,
Volmstedt nailed it, nailed it.
well, there you go.
Again, so Volmstedt was similar to Koblenz, a club with massive, massive aspirations of like wanting to climb to Pro A or BBL. And those were like projects that I found quite exciting. Like, as you mentioned, like, yes, lower tier basketball, but these guys had big ambitions. Like, I signed a 1+1 in Volmstedt, which was my first like multi-year contract. And we were getting remunerated quite well. And yeah, like it's mental. Volmestedt now playing Pro A, and a coach that coached me in Volmestedt got let go by Volmestedt halfway through the year this year. Um, they were doing quite badly in Pro A, but 2 weeks later, he became an assistant for Paris Basket, when the new coach stepped up. So he's now a EuroLeague assistant coach, which is just unbelievable stuff. But yeah, Volmestedt was a crazy one because it was during COVID. So like we're playing that first year. I can't even remember what we got to, like after Christmas, and then the league shut down. No, we maybe even a little bit further. League shut down for with 4 games to go or something like that. So that was a whirlwind experience, being in a different country whilst the pandemic was on.
And I was trying to look up facts about it. All I could find out that the town is located near a historic electrical substation that was the East
Yeah,
German power grid. That is the only
yeah.
fact I can find about that place.
It's Volmestedt was tiny, middle of nowhere. The closest city is Magdeburg, and that's like 20-25 minutes, which wasn't much bigger. But yeah, like an hour, 35-minute drive from Berlin.
So in 2021, you
Yeah.
returned to the UK to play in Plymouth. How did that come about? Was it something to do with COVID, or did they offer you? Or
I think post COVID, I definitely had that. I spent so much time with my parents, and like, I left home when I was 16, and then I came back and lived with them during COVID for like a year and a half stint. And like my mum had some health issues during that time. So I was just like getting to know my parents better. And I've gone to the stage, as you can hear in the podcast, I've bounced all around. I've been so many different places, wasn't getting any younger. And like after spending time in England, seeing my friends, seeing my family, it was like, oh, I think coming back to the UK would be a nice option. Like, I want to kind of put some roots down. Like the novelty of, oh, I play overseas had definitely worn off. And like, again, the level of the BBL, like having experienced it in 2016, like I knew it was a really good level, and I kind of wanted to prove to myself, like, no, I'm good enough to play in this league. Like, I think I probably should have stayed in this league before, but there was a desire for me to be like, no, I belong in this league. I'm good enough to play in this league. and then yeah, had spoken to Cheshire a little bit, and then kind of reached out to Plymouth. Like obviously when Plymouth folded the first time, when they like became when they announced that they were having a new team, I was like, I said to my agent at the time, like, why don't you hit these guys up? Then spoke to PJ, and then yeah, had a conversation on the phone, and then kind of put a contract in front of me, and I signed it. So yeah, that was how it came about.
And what was life like? We get on to season in a minute, but life like living in Devon when
Plymouth's
Plymouth.
unbelievable. Plymouth's unbelievable. I love that place so much. Like I'm absolutely gutted that it folded down there. Plymouth was unbelievable. Apart from being 15 hours away from everywhere, the people down there were amazing. I love being by the sea. My missus loves the countryside and all of that. So it was a really really enjoyable place to live.
Yeah, it's one of those teams, isn't it, that needs to come back to what is now the
Yeah,
SLB.
yeah.
And the season itself on the floor, obviously, was that the year you got your ACL injury?
So no, the first year because it was a new franchise, we weren't allowed to have any imports. Because it was a new business, we weren't allowed any imports. So that first year, up until like just before Christmas, we were like 0 and 12, 0 and 13. Um, Not getting like battered and blown out, but like close, but like didn't really have the talent to get over the line. And then we had two imports come in, Antonio Williams and Rashad Hassan. And then like if I look back on my career and talk about like my favorite time playing basketball was like when those guys arrived, we went on a run. Like I think we beat everyone in the league. I think we went 13-2 in February. Um, yeah, just unbelievable. We ended up making the playoffs. Like yeah, just so much fun, so much fun. And then I tore my ACL like that summer, like
Wow.
2 days before we were supposed to start training camp, which was fun.
So, just for the benefit of the listener, we took a little break, and before we get a break, you were telling me about the end of the first season, making the playoffs, and then prior to start a new season, you got yourself injured, an ACL injury. Do you remember how that happened?
Unfortunately, I do remember it. It was oh man, it was just devastating. Um, yeah, like coming back to England, like I wanted to prove that I could play in the league, and I felt like I did that. I felt like I had a really good first year with Plymouth. And kind of proved myself to be one of the British guys that can, contribute in this league and play. And then I had a couple of other offers outside of Plymouth. I remember speaking to Gareth in the summer about maybe going back up to Caledonia. I was still a little bit scorned from my experience in Glasgow, all those years previous. And I was kind of ready to come back and hit the ground running and kind of continue to move on from the season that I had before. And then yeah, just kind of the floor fell away from beneath me when I did my knee, and it was so so painful. Like that was the thing, like really really painful. And then the timing of it was like awful too, because it was like right at the start of the season, so I was automatically going to write off this next season. Um,
Do you know immediately
yes,
how bad it was?
yes,
You did, yeah.
yes, yes, yeah, 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 yeah. Like I saw the video of it as well, but like as soon as I'd done it, I was like, this isn't a minor thing. This isn't I've tweaked my knee. This is a like I'm in agony here. Like yeah, it was tough. But like I'd already agreed to go back to Plymouth. And like I had a really good relationship with the interim owner, or the I don't know what his title would be, and the coach. And they were really good to me and kind of like kept honored my contract. But like in order to do that, I ended up coaching a bunch of different teams. I coached the university team. I coached an under 16 development team. I also assisted PJ as well while like was doing all my rehab on the side. To kind of dived into the coaching side of things, which is something I've always kind of been told throughout my career by coaches and teammates, like, "Oh, you'll be like a good coach one day." So this was kind of an opportunity, albeit like forced into it, that like allowed me to start to do that.
And as you started doing it, do you think this is something I'd like to do? Or at that point, you still like more like I'm doing the coaching, but I'm focusing on the rehab?
I think the plan has always been to coach when I finish playing. Just like the trajectory and like what is my perceived expertise in is basketball. What have I spent my whole life pursuing? What do I think I like have a really good understanding of? and I love the sport. So like that's always kind of been in my head, the trajectory post playing. And like at this point, I was what when I tore my ACL 28, 29, something like that. So like the end of playing is a lot closer than the beginning of playing. So I don't necessarily think it was I'm going to stop doing this coaching when I get back to playing, but it was yeah, nice to be able to do it.
Just someone who's never experienced an ACL injury, what's the sort of progress like from when you get the injury through rehab? How does it work?
An absolute pain in the ass. I had a hamstring graft, so like had the injury. Had to get MRIs, all of that fun stuff. It's also expensive. I had to fund the surgery because it was like my thought process was like if I wait to go NHS, that's pretty much me writing off my career because it's like I could be waiting for 12 months to get surgery and then it's another 12 months recovery process. So I ended up going private, which was not an expense that I was anticipating having to pay, but I did. And then just it's long, it's boring, it's painful, like ups and downs. You think you're doing really well, and then you're not doing so well, or you think you're doing bad, and you're actually doing better than you think. Then I had some complications with my rehab that I won't get into. But yeah, just like I was in a lot of pain for quite a while, and that was like just frustrating. Like getting in and out of a car, sitting on the toilet, standing up. I lived in the team flat, but like making food for yourself while you're on crutches, like that stuff's just such an inconvenience.
How long was it, if we just concentrate on the basketball side, how long was it again before you were able to pick up a ball from injury?
Pick up a ball, like I was able to like stand still, static shoot and stuff like that. But like actually play, like the first time I played 5-on-5 wasn't until like the following, the start of like, or not even the start, like after preseason, the following season. So it was a long old process.
And what did it feel like? Obviously all this pain you've gone through the operation. What was it like for you when you finally like back on the floor scrimmaging?
Uh, Awful. Like just really, really bad. Like it was nice to be out playing again, but like to feel limited and not anywhere near how the level that I felt I was at before. And obviously I expected it to be like that, but trying to get back to that point that I felt like I'd worked so hard to get to and kind of prove myself. It's just super frustrating. Like really, really frustrating.
And you're still with Plymouth at the time, yes?
Yeah. So like I was there for my first season, did the ACL, coached that whole year, and then the next year played. Like that was the final club as well. And towards like the end of the year, started to feel better in my, which is totally normal in rehab processes. Like you can be there physically, but like the mental battle and like the return to performance or the previous level of performance is an extended period of time. And I felt like I was getting that way towards the end of the season, and then we ran out of season, and the season finished. And then there was the turmoil and the disappointment with what happened in the league folding, and then being new and Plymouth kind of being left on the outside, which was super frustrating to kind of be left in the dark, not only for me, but like for all the people that worked at the club. That was definitely like a frustrating time for everyone, a lot of uncertainty. And I think
Would you have stayed? Sorry, would you have stayed
uh,
had they remained in
my,
the league?
my career plan was to finish out Plymouth, play for another 3-4 years, something like that, and then when PJ retired, kind of hopefully step into that role there. Similar to what Johnny Bunyan's done, kind of, but like I loved it there. The people were really nice to me. I felt really passionate about the club because I was there from its inception. Like I wanted the club to do well. I wanted the area to do well. Unbelievable fan base. And yeah, that was the lofty long term plan. Like I say, was PJ sail off into the sunset. I think he was only 2 or 3 years away from retirement. Me see out my playing career there, like as an established British player, and then kind of hopefully, if that was what the club wanted, to step into that coaching role.
Show my age here because I can still remember PJ playing long before the coaching. And
I've only seen pictures. I haven't seen video.
yeah, well, in his defence, there isn't much video. Different era, but I can't finish on Plymouth without talking about the venue. You played in one of the most, what we say, unique venues in the league at the time, basically because it's a theatre and stuff like that. Those shows on. What
Yeah.
was it like playing there?
Plymouth Pavilions. I'll say an unbelievable venue to watch a basketball game. A good venue to have as a home court advantage venue in terms of like a venue to play in. A tough place to play, especially we didn't practice there, so it was like obviously I was there for 3 years, so like I become accustomed to it. But like yeah, a difficult place to walk in and play well. Concrete floors, rubber mat, like your body definitely felt it. Toward after you played there, definitely felt it.
But you, like you said, you did have that home court advantage, especially when it's
Yeah,
packed in there.
yeah. And like we always played at a weird time on a Sunday, so like people had to travel down. Like it's an early start on a Sunday, so it was yeah a good home venue. And like I said, aesthetically, like you see it on film, or you go there and you watch, and it's like oh we're here for a show, which is really cool, and I think really important. But yeah, playing wise, I learned to love it, but I definitely wasn't a fan at the beginning.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to people in the past as an opposition player, and they've hated it where they had to change or just to lay out everything. But you
Yeah.
speak to anyone from Plymouth, and they love it because it's their home. It's so as you mentioned a moment ago, obviously the situation with the league. You know, just for the podcast, you're originally from Southend.
Yeah.
How did the process come from then? Obviously, the end of the league, you going to play for the Essex Rebels.
Well, like, so my missus plays as well, and she played at London, and she's at Manchester. She's from Manchester, and that summer, obviously, it was holding out to go to Plymouth, and then Plymouth folded, and then she was looking to re-sign in Manchester. So it was like, oh, maybe I'll speak to Manchester, and we were going down that avenue, and thought things were going to go that way, and then a few things fell through, so we were kind of both. Trying to figure it out late into the summer. And the women's coach at Essex had been recruiting her as well for the last 2 years. And then the men's coach at the time, Ross Norfolk, was the team manager for GB when I did my stint with the men. So I've always had a really good relationship with Ross. And like I would say most summers he's always hit me up like, oh Joe, come and study, come and play for me. And the time wasn't right. And then yeah, he kind of reached out to me, and then they were able to kind of put a package together for me and my partner to both go down, for her to play for the women's team and me to play for the men's. And it kind of lined up perfectly. It was an excuse for me to be closer to home again, continue playing. I started studying that first year, and yeah, that's kind of how it ended up.
Dropping down a level in what was National League.
Yeah.
What was that step difference like for you? Because obviously you've come back the season before from that ACL. You know, you said you struggled, then you got better as the game. Sorry, the season wore on. What was it like at this level for you?
It was really tough for me because all the turmoil that was going on with Plymouth, and then I picked up like a nagging little toe injury, so I ended up not really doing anything from June until like the start of October. I had like saw a bunch of people. They thought I had a fracture. I didn't have a fracture. There was a bunch of wear and tear on my joints, a bunch of arthritis building up. So effectively, I went into that season like having had no summer training coming off the previous season with Plymouth. And then I think mentally it was quite tough adjusting from going every day, and being this like full time to having 2 practices a week, sometimes 3 practices a week. I found that adjustment quite difficult, and the mindset of turning up every day, having to get yourself fired up, having to prove that you're good enough, coming off all the back of the stuff that had happened with Plymouth with the injury, I just found myself not being as motivated, as I previously was throughout like the entirety of my career. Like, and I one eye on coaching a little bit, and like again the drop down in level is like, well, what at this point, what am I playing for? Why am I doing this? Is it because I love it? Is it because I'm trying to climb my way back up to an SLB team? So like a lot of those questions I was asking myself that year. But yeah, I definitely found it challenging. Like great group of guys to be around. It was really fun to play for Ross. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge.
Was there any expectations put on you? Obviously, based on the fact you've played for GB, junior, senior level. You played at decent levels all around Europe and in the SLB. Any expectations put on you that season?
I don't think so. I don't think there was any. We didn't have any conversations like this is what you must do. I mean, I think there was expectations on of myself to perform. I don't think my prep going into it was helpful. But yeah, like I don't think there were. Obviously, I think it comes with the territory of having the career that I've had, and the weight of the stuff that I've done come with me. So there was probably some expectations from some other people. I don't necessarily think I felt other people's expectations. I felt my own expectations, but like that was all mixed into me battling like how am I feeling about this, and like is this something that I still want to do?
And then obviously it's an up and down season on and off the court. I think you guys made the quarterfinals. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was in terms of like craziness. Yeah, it was an absolutely insane year. Obviously, we had the tragic accident where we lost a couple of guys that were on the team, which was interesting times. There was definitely a lot of conversation had amongst the group, a lot of silences. Some debate as to whether or not we should carry on playing the rest of the year, which we ended up doing, which I think was the right decision to make.
Mm.
And yeah, I think as a team on a whole, just making it through that season was an unbelievable achievement. I think for both the men's and the women's team, being able to finish the year,
Mm.
like regardless of wins and losses, was unbelievable. But then in terms of like on court performance, I definitely felt that with the group that we had, we could have finished better. But like I said before, with losing, especially midway through the year, like the impact that not having those guys around had on the program and the university was, yeah, it was tough. And yeah, we made the quarterfinal. We lost to Reading in the quarterfinal, and then I knew that I was going to stop playing at that point. And I remember going with a couple of my friends, and we just watched Rory win the Masters, and it's like a really like poignant moment for me that sticks out. Like sitting in his living room, having a few beers, thinking, "Oh, this is it. This is no more playing for me."
So you've made that decision, like I said, off that difficult year. Um, did you know then that Ross was going to step down, or were you just thinking finding somewhere to coach?
No, so I was aware of the situation. Like I was having a bunch of conversations with Ross, kind of throughout the year, and like understood the predicament that he was in, at the university was kind of in, and then I'd had conversations with him, and then some conversations with the head of basketball at the university as well, Ash Cookson, uh, and just like testing the waters, and they were trying to find out if it's something that I'd be willing to do or interested in doing, and like those conversations were had, I want to say like a couple months before the end of the season. So it was like, if this is the path that I want to go down. So yeah, there was definitely an awareness there. Like, obviously, still had to go through all the hiring process, but like
Yeah.
my intent was to kind of put my name in the hat, and I felt pretty confident with my resume that I would be able to get the job.
And you didn't fancy being like a Fab Flanoy playing and coaching?
No, no. I've experienced player coaches. I've experienced player coaches. I saw Fab do it. I played for Fab when he did it, which was an interesting time. I watched Gareth do it. I spoke to Gareth about it a little bit as well. Um, and I can't think of anything worse, because like either you play yourself too much, you don't play yourself enough. Either you're bad at playing and bad at, like, if I'm going to be bad at one thing, let me be bad at one thing, not let me be bad at multiple things at the same times. And I think it's just such a difficult group dynamic to navigate. Like, guys don't do this, and then I do this, and then, yeah, no, it's something I wanted no part of.
Just need to get yourself a Dave Forrester. That's what you need.
No, absolutely.
When I've interviewed guys in the past, some players found it easy to give up and just move on to the next chapter. Others found it harder. What was it like for yourself, knowing, right, this is it, I'm stopping playing, I'm turning my attention to coaching? Can you remember?
No, my answer changes all the time, to be honest with you. Sometimes I think initially it was quite easy. I was ready to kind of take a step back from the basketball stuff, I think, playing wise. But then throughout the year, like there's moments where I'm like, oh man, I would love to be playing. And there's been times where I've had to jump in practice because we're down on numbers, and it's like jumping in and you get to rev up the competitive juices and kind of get going a little bit. And it's like, oh, this is why it's so great. And there's been a couple of games this season where I was like, oh, I would have loved to have played in this game. But on the whole, I would say I I haven't missed it, but there's definitely days and there's definitely moments where it's like, oh man, I wish I was still doing this.
It's because you're what are you about 33? Is that right?
32, turned 33 this summer.
So you're still young. You're still playing age, whereas obviously
Yeah.
someone who's much older, it would be a lot easier. But you didn't register yourself as a player just in case, did you? Or not?
There was a conversation of that. We had a bit of an injury epidemic at one point. But like I looked at I looked at it like this, like if I've decided to stop playing, me registering to play, what purpose does that serve? What does it say to the group? What does it say to me and my kind of goals and ambitions? Like, oh, I need to step on the court and do it for everyone and figure it out. Like, if we had five guys available to play, would I register myself so that like potentially if there is a need to give someone a break, maybe. But yeah, I've decided to coach. Coaching is what I'm going to do. If we've got eight guys, me suiting up is like, yeah, it doesn't serve me any purpose, I don't think, in trying to be a better coach.
Let's talk about the BCB because this is a season you turn to coaching. You turn to it at a time when the National League teams are pulling away to do their own thing. And not a lot of stuff was known about it. You know, it was all done on the fly. Did that hamper any of your preparation at all? In fact, or you just
Um,
thought, I got a
not
squad, this is getting ready?
yeah, not really. I think like being so naive to it all and like fresh faced, kind of all of that stuff the organization takes care of, like what's going on. For me, it was more just like turn up and practice. But obviously now being a year into the job, I have like lots of different reflections and opinions on the stuff. But initially, no, not really. It was kind of like, this is what I think we should be doing. This is how I think we should practice. All of the other stuff was kind of like, I don't know what's going on. Tell me what I need to know, and then I'll kind of go from there.
And obviously, you took over for Ross Norfolk. Have you ever reached out to him at all for any advice or
Yeah,
anything? Yeah.
Ross is around. Like he's come to a couple of practices. He still lives in the area. Have a bunch of conversation with him, so it's nice to touch base with him a little bit for sure.
And let's reflect on this season. How have you seen this past season go with Essex?
It's been a whirlwind, an absolute whirlwind. It's hard to know what to expect when I think you have one expectation of what it is like to coach, and then it's just completely different, and you think one thing, and then the next day it's something completely different, and your world is ending because someone gets hurt, and then you realize that's just part of it, and not everyone is always going to be available, and yeah, it's been crazy, ups and downs. I think I've loved the group. The group's been so easy to work with. Yeah, lots of ups and downs. Some results that haven't gone our way. I would love for us to have seen a few more wins in the win column. But look, this is year one. Yeah, like it's the most frustrating and rewarding job in the world. Like I love it and I hate it all in the same breath, but then come back to loving it. So I've enjoyed it.
And it's a case of like you're going to approach season two very different to season one because of the amount of stuff you've learnt over that last year.
I think so. Yeah, even just from like team construction, recruitment, practice schedule, target setting, what I think the group can achieve, what we should achieve, do I need to be more firm on things? Do I need to be more flexible with certain things? Like, the season finished on Saturday for us, so it's kind of been some downtime at the moment, and I'm looking forward to kind of going back over the next couple of weeks and reflecting a little bit and seeing what I can take away from it. Definitely one thing, got to be way better at planning. Like that's going to be a big thing for me this year is like going into the season with a lot more of a plan. because last summer it was a lot more of the unknown and like, oh, I think this is cool and whatever. Whereas now it's like, no, I have a much clearer idea of the things that I want to kind of implement from the beginning.
Yeah, because that's the way thing. Obviously, you didn't make the playoffs, and as the time of recording, the BCB season is still going on. Are you ready? So you're ready starting on next year's plan?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of it's the playoffs got to start this weekend. But yeah, in terms of recruitment and team construction, that's all kind of like I'm trying to tackle that currently, and that's for me, it's the worst part of the job. Like this, the part I enjoy the least. When you have when everyone's there, it's fine. Like you can figure out how can we make this person better, or how can we get better at this, whatever. It's the trying to get people here and trying to figure out who's the right people to bring in is the stuff that thus far I'm like, oh, this is not the enjoyable part.
And you see, it's the construction of the roster. Then that's the thing for you. Then, yeah. Because
Yeah, at the moment, and then obviously with being at Essex, the not limitations, the things that we have to abide by, because obviously we are a university run program. There has to be like a big emphasis on putting together a team that compete at the university level as well.
yeah,
Which is then like a different layer when it comes to recruiting, and the people that you've got to recruit have to be willing to study. So it's like it's an interesting challenge. It's not just putting together the best. Obviously, trying to put together the best basketball team, but you're trying to hit certain criteria as well, which is a challenge in itself.
and I can't finish talking about Essex when talk about you play probably I would say the best arena in the BCB without insulting anyone else.
Oh,
It's
I don't think it's an insult. I mean, I think it's probably just matter of fact.
yeah. And you talked about the Pirates earlier, sort of thing. You're a Southend lad.
Yeah.
You know the county well. What does it need, in your opinion, for basketball to become successful in your part of the country? If you know what I mean.
It's a good question. Good question. The Southeast. I think the Southeast does need a SLB team, to be honest with you, a first league team. Obviously, we've got the women who play in the SLBW, which is massive. Um, in order for it to get, but yeah, I think yeah, the Southeast in itself, maybe even two teams, because what London is London and Surrey, but I don't even think Surrey really count. Like, it's a big space in the country that's looking for something. Obviously, we have the BCB teams which kind of fill in that area, which I do think is growing a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but we do have a lovely venue. Tell you that
Oh,
much.
you do indeed. It's the biggest capacity as well, isn't it, in the league?
Yeah, at BCB, I'd
The
imagine
BCB,
so.
yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, I think it seats 2 point something, 2.6. So I don't have the figures off the top of my head.
I was asking a friend who was there a few years ago. He thinks it's just under 2,000.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Right. Well, you know what? I think we've covered all, Joe. I just want to go back to something you mentioned earlier because we took a little break earlier, and I was looking up something during the break. You were talking about Mike Toby because I remember commentating 'cause I don't like European basketball, commentating on a lot of his games. But did you say to me earlier your roommates?
Yeah, so Mike did his last year of high school at Blair, and we got stuck together as roommates, um, and it formed into quite a cool friendship. We still keep in touch now. He invited me and my missus to his wedding. I want to say 2, 3 summers ago. I've been out to see him a bunch of times. We went out to see him play when he was at Zvezda. We went to see the ABBA finals when they played. Zvezda versus Partizan, and that was insane. I'd say the best basketball watching experience of my life. And then, yeah, one of the summers I went out when he was playing for Slovenia, and they were playing Serbia in the pre-Euro basket. And that was a very cool experience, sitting down at his hotel drinking coffee while they were out practicing, and across from me is Jokic and Misic, the reigning MVP of EuroLeague and NBA, all within touching distance. So it was definitely a cool experience. It just goes to show, though, like I say this all the time when I talk to people, like a little orange ball means you move to New Jersey, you fly to Slovenia, you meet one of your best friends because of it. You can speak a different language now. Like it's crazy to think that just because you enjoyed something when you were younger, like all of the life experience that it gives you.
It just shows you what basketball can bring to your life, doesn't it?
No,
Listen,
100%.
Joe, I would say thank you so much for joining the podcast today. It's been absolutely fantastic to look back on your career, and I wish you all the best in season 2 with Essex. And once again, thank you for jumping on.
Appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun.
Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please make sure to share the podcast on your socials and tell everyone about it. I'm always interested in any suggestions for future guests, so please let me know any ideas you have. I can be reached on a dedicated Eurostep Brit account on Blue Sky or via Hoops and Hockey on Instagram. That's all for now. Until the next time, my name's Niall Gray. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Eurostep Brit podcast, a Hoops and Hockey production.